Cyrus. This is Art on Wheels. We are in the brand new Ferrari Roma that only has 49 miles on it.
It's a 2023. It is well built with the right color combo.
Your name is on the title of this puppy. How does that feel?
So this morning I woke up and I looked at Catherine and said, you know what I'm doing this morning? I'm taking delivery of a Ferrari. And said, well, okay, but then you do that every day. But you don't understand. My name is on it. Where I took delivery of it, okay, was right behind the desk I worked and I sat for approximately 6 years. Okay? So actually, it was a cool moment. These cars in price range somewhere between $300,000 and $330,000.
We're taking it to lunch, but let me tell you what's on this episode of Art on Wheels. This whole episode is from Unknown Charlotte and Euro Prestige Imports, the car mecca of North Carolina. Legendary F1 mechanic, best-selling author, and sports commentator on NBC for over 20 years, Steve Matchett is going to tell us what it's like to win a Formula One World Championship.
As a former mechanic with Formula One, it was always the Constructors' Championship, which was the one we're all chasing.
And we're going to show you part of Steve's chat with Haas Formula One team principal Gunther Steiner from the hit Netflix show Drive to Survive.
Oh boy, here we go.
The motion picture Gran Turismo comes out in just a couple weeks, co-starring Orlando Bloom and David Harbour. One of the co-stars, Richard Cambridge, is going to tell us what it's like to be an actor to have to learn how to do all the moves in the pits and get the choreography right. He's even going to tell us about the true story the movie's based on.
Stop on a dime, change tires, out of the pits. You're living that moment. You're feeling that exhilaration.
Our next episode is going to be all from Monterey Car Week and Pebble Beach. We're going to show you some of the cars that are going up on auction, as well as a very special movie car you might want to add to your own collection for under 20 grand. Legendary British car racer Mike Wilds has ran Le Mans 7 times. He's going to take us curve by curve down the track with this amazing dash cam footage.
Le Mans, there's just nothing like it. It makes the hairs stand up on the back of my neck now talking about it.
Happy Ferrari to you, happy Ferrari to you, happy Ferrari to Cyrus.
Happy Ferrari Day.
Happy Friday. It's Ferrari Friday. You know that?
It's Ferrari Friday, we're celebrating. Boy, oh boy, I love this place. This is Cyrus. This is a man with vision. This is a guy who said, you know, we're going to create the automobile mecca of Charlotte, North Carolina, and he has done it. We are here on the observation deck. So this is Unknown Charlotte. It's also called Euro Prestige, 2 separate businesses. Correct. When did you come up with this idea?
Well, actually, we're 12 years ago. We're sitting around a fire pit. I think you see how it works with us, okay? It goes from 8 o'clock at night and suddenly you realize it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
You guys saw in the last episode, I came here to shoot one segment. We ended up seeing the sunrise. That's another story.
We would talk. I said one day, instead of me working for this dealership I was working for, where I was happy working there, selling cars, selling Ferraris, okay, doing everything good. Yeah. I said, I just want to have under one roof, one-stop shop. And someone looked at me and said, you can't do it. You don't have the money. There's no way you can do that. So my buddy says, it's not about money. It's about your vision.
Welcome to the exclusive world headquarters of Euro Prestige Imports Unknown Charlotte. Think of it as the back cave of car culture in North Carolina.
You know, folks, one of the great joys about broadcasting is you get to meet people that you consider a legend. This is one of them, Steve Matchett. Holy buckets. Not only world-known broadcaster, in the pits, Formula One, Michael Schumacher, not one, not two, 3 world championships. Put the car together to do it with. Thanks so much for chatting with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for that wonderful lead in there.
No, this is, folks, when, Cyrus said, well, I know Steve Matchett, I literally stopped in my tracks. I said, the guy who wrote the books, the F1 mechanic, the guy. He goes, yeah, Steve's a friend. He goes, you're actually the writer in residence here.
I am the writer in residence, yes, of Euro Prestige Imports Unknown Charlotte. Now, don't ask me what that title means, because
if you haven't read his books, I just finished A Mechanic's Tale, which is so great. You talk about really the magic of getting to the big show.
I love that idea of writing about sort of the daily grind in Formula One because no one else was doing it. The book sold very well. But I'll tell you what made the biggest difference for me. My entire career, Brent, like from day one, anything I've done has really been a series of happy accidents for me. But
you know, I'm not going to give you that. You are planned and strategized. You might enjoy it as a happy accident, but he knows what he's doing.
Well, the first book I wrote was called Life in the Fast Lane, and it was about the '94 season when we won our first World Championship with Michael as the driver, with Benetton. We didn't win the Constructors, we got very close, but we did win the Drivers' Championship. '94 turned out to be this remarkable year in Formula One, you know, tragic in some ways, turbulent in some ways. We had fatal accidents, we lost Senna, we had all sorts of problems with the FIA. The car burst into flames at Hockenheim, but we won the World Championship for Michael as a driver.
Walk us through that day.
When we won the championship, as a former mechanic with Formula One, it was always the Constructors' Championship, which was the one we're all chasing. The Drivers' Championship pays not 1 cent in prize money, nothing. In '95, we won the Constructors' Championship, and I can remember we were in Adelaide, Australia, and after the race had finished, like, we realised, you know, we've definitely won it. We've just beaten Ferrari at their own game. We've just beaten McLaren at their own game. We've beaten Williams at their own game. We've taken on every constructor in Formula One and come out on top.
Against Benetton, who makes clothes.
Yeah, tiny little team. And you know, another thing that many folks may not be aware of, but the order of the garages down the pit lane in Formula One is based on the Constructors' Championship from the year before. So the winning team are typically, they are the first team in the pit lane, and it goes down first, second, third, fourth, all the way down to now 10th, you know, so that position is set. So the next year, when you win the Constructors' Championship, you can walk out of the pit lane at a particular track and just stand there and look down the pit lane and realize that, you know, you've done it. You've won a Formula One World Championship.
And you get to breathe that in the whole next season. You're
and
we got the spot.
But it is, you know, it is such a overwhelming, time-consuming industry that sucks every second of your life.
It takes it all.
It takes everything. It destroys personal relationships. It breaks up marriages. You know, all of that. But if you're that dedicated to win a championship in Formula One and you do it, it's something you'll never, ever forget.
Steve has a YouTube channel as well. Subscribe, check it out, and we're going to show a little greatest hits of his channel, including your chat with Gunther Steiner. We're going to show just a little bit, but go watch the full thing at the YouTube channel. We're here at Unknown Charlotte and Euro Prestige with legendary F1 mechanic. What was your official title?
Race mechanic. Humble as that.
Yeah, well, he's the man. Steve, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Hello there, I'm Steve Matchett, and this gentleman needs no introduction. Gunther Steiner, team principal of Haas F1. Tell us something about the challenges that you face with this car.
I think more than just with this car, it was the challenges of entering a new team to F1. That was the biggest challenge, I would say. Obviously, a car is the challenge behind it, but being the first year to build up a new F1 team from scratch, it isn't easy. If I would go back, would I do it again? Maybe not. How can you make an F1 team run? And obviously, the whole team did a great job, and to get this car ready for Australia, I don't know how many nights were spent, how many weekends were spent from the guys to do all this. So there is nothing specific for us on this car. We just said, we need to make an F1 car and we need to go racing in Australia, otherwise it ends badly. They are so complex, these machines, and you know that, I mean, and they are getting more complex every year. Okay, what can we do in the regulations? And at the time, Charlie Whiting was still with us, you know, and he helped a lot to clarify a lot of stuff, because there was a lot of clarification needed, because nobody has done it ever before like this.
You guys arrived in Australia with Grosjean managed to score points in the debut outing of a brand new car with a brand new team. But you made such an impact on the sport. You scored points in the first race.
You know, Formula One is a tough business. There is a lot more naysayers then yes, sayers. Our business model, this can never work, guys. This will never work. You've got the facility in the UK, one in Italy, one in the States. Why would this ever work? And then we made it work, you know. So that again proves that you need to be knowing what you're doing, stubborn to get to the end and not listen to other people. And I think we are back now to keep on going the right way, which is upwards.
Folks, if you didn't see the last episode, do yourself a favor and check it out, because the idea for this little chat came up from that. We chatted with Jason about his DB6 in the last one, and you were talking about some nights you just sit down in here and have a glass of whiskey.
Yep.
So we are doing that in his beautiful Ferrari Dino.
Yes.
When did you get this? Where did it come from?
I got this car about 9 months ago. Found this one in Dubai because it's only got 48,000 miles on it. Probably 2,000 of that I've put on it. And so then I found it there at a really well-known and respected dealership there. And we used to be able to get these for 20 grand, you know. So I thought, well, I better...
Not quite the case now.
No, I better go get this one in Dubai. And at the time, I didn't know how good the history on it was. So did all that. But then because of COVID, the quote to bring it here went from 5 grand to 25 grand for this container. So a massive difference in time.
So this came from Dubai?
Yes. Yeah, you can still see the toll sticker. I've left it on there.
Amazing. I brought this bottle of Johnny Walker Black. He said you could bring a Johnny Walker Blue or Black, and the budget of this show is Johnny Walker Black. Still delicious.
Still great.
Really think you're going to take a kid who plays video games in their bedroom, you're going to strap them to a 200-mile-an-hour rocket. It'll tear him to pieces.
You can hate me now.
It's not going to work. The guys who race are elite athletes.
But I won't stop now.
Your kids are scrawny little gamer kids.
Well, that's where you come in.
Folks, the movie Gran Turismo comes out in just a couple weeks, co-starring Orlando Bloom, David Harbour. One of the co-stars, Richard Cambridge, is with us live from London. Richard, how you doing today? Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. As David Harbour says in the trailer, we're going to strap these kids to a 200-mile-an-hour rocket? Are you kidding me? You know, these are people sitting in their homes. I mean, people have rigs nowadays. They rig up a good screen and they have, you know, good internet connections, but they essentially have plastic steering wheels, pedals, and a PlayStation to play the game. But these are huge competitions, and the best are really the best of the best. So these guys have raced the same tracks virtually than the real guys have raced. So they've raced them maybe more times, maybe 1,000 times they've raced a track. So it's actually a pretty smart thing. You take these guys who know the nuances of a track, they know the line, they know where they can overtake, they know where they can take risks, and then translate that into the real world. And, you know, maybe it works out.
Folks, this actually happened, and he is racing to this day. He became a professional driver.
He's a real racing driver. He does this for real. And he actually came on set to meet us, and we went karting with some of the cast, and it was, oh my gosh, it was like this you know, demigod on set. Oh my God, the story is really about, yeah, he's a lovely guy. We went casting and hung out, and he actually ended up playing his own stuntman in the show as well.
You play Felix. Tell us what you do in Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I play Felix, one of the crew with Nissan. Jan joins Nissan when he becomes a real racing driver, and things happen from there. In this movie, there's David Harbour, there's Orlando Bloom, and Archie McDequay, great actors who I worked with within Team Nissan. They're all great performers, and it was a real fabulous opportunity to work with people at the top of the game. Watch out on the big screen, because this is going to be an absolutely brilliant thing on the big screen. We've got real racing cars really doing 200 mile an hour, and they come into the pits so fast, stop on a dime, change tyres out of the pits. You're living that moment, you're feeling that exhilaration. And to see it in the cinema is going to be the place to see it, because it's going to sound amazing, and I know it's going to look amazing.
This is a true story of Jan Martenborough, who came out of nowhere, dreamed big enough, and came through with it.
This is Jan Martenborough, and he is a young British race car driver.
My obsession as a child was to become a racing driver.
He had no understanding of the racing world apart from a video game.
I started playing Gran Turismo on the PlayStation, and then when I was 19, I remember seeing it on a normal TV advert, GT Academy, a chance to become a professional racing driver for Nissan. I didn't have any experience driving anything, and then 8 months later, I'm driving this car at 140 miles an hour.
He's sitting on a couch playing a video game, and he winds up becoming a great race car driver.
But to have a film made about it, I never thought that was even possible.
I think it's maybe the first film ever where there's a film being made about someone's life and they are stunt driving in the film.
Arriving on set is very surreal. The scale and the attention to detail in the car, it blew my mind.
I have nothing but respect for Jan. Being in the car is the most difficult thing I have ever done. Jan has this burning passion and desire to achieve more than what his circumstances were allowing. That is unbelievably inspiring.
You ready to bring this home? Let's go.
This is a 1977 911S. It is a Targa model. Never has there been a more beautiful and more exciting vehicle to have than this one here. This car belongs on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Simple things like adding modern wheels with modern Michelin tires has improved the ride. We've also gone ahead and done suspension work where the vehicle has had a little bit of a lower stance, so it gives it a little bit more aggressive stance. We've also gone ahead and wrapped some of the interior in Alcantara with matching stitching for the cinnamon interior. And it has this wonderful combination of black, cinnamon, and Alcantara now that we've gone ahead and lined the Targa sunroof, the sun visors, and the steering wheel with it. If you look at some of the exterior components, we've left almost everything stock except the wheels and the stands. You can tell it's a classic vehicle, but something has ultimately been changed here. But we also wanted to make sure it had a modern AC compressor and all the AC lines and fittings gone through. Is that it has the comfort and amenities of a daily vehicle that you can actually get in and just turn and go. And this is one of the vehicles that we're proud to represent here at Euro Prestige Imports.
And if you're looking for a 96 British Racing Green Jaguar XJ6, this one was actually used in our movie Diana in Love, and it's going for a cool $15,000. Make room in your garage and bring it home today. And be sure to watch for Diana in Love, the new feature film coming out soon on the Flamingo Network.
Le Mans, a fantastically fast, very impressive circuit, one of my all-time favorites.
When you see that footage, do you just want to be back at Le Mans at the wheel?
Very much so. Even at my age, I'm coming up 78 and I'd jump at that to be driving that again tomorrow.
Folks, you know, every episode kind of ends with a some type of drive. Last week it was the Iowa British Car Club. Next episode, it's actually going to be the 17-mile drive from Pebble Beach, Monterey Car Week. It's one of the prettiest drives on this planet. But this week is something really special. Look there on the screen. That is Le Mans, the Le Mans Classic. And with us is Mike Wilds, legendary British car racing driver. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Good to see you, my friend.
So, you too, sir, you too. So I thought if you would be so kind. Now, who are we looking? So this is a car that you've raced, but this isn't you at the wheel. Is that right?
What you're going to see is the owner of the car, Rainer Becker. He and I shared drives in his 1974 RSR, which you can see on screen at the moment. And also the ex-Mario Andretti Porsche 956 Group C car, and had the pleasure of racing that car with him at the Le Mans Classic. Le Mans knocks everything for me in to a cocked hat. It's the most wonderful circuit to drive. It has an atmosphere all of its own. When I did Le Mans, there was no chicanes, so you could sit at 238, 240 miles an hour for 3.5 miles, absolutely flat out with a kink in the middle. There's just nothing like it. It makes the hairs stand up on the back of my neck now talking about it.
So now we're coming up to the start of the lap. Now this, understand, this is still, it's a running start, so you're going to see the start line in just a second.
That's right, just coming. The pit lane is on your right-hand side. Reiner's just setting himself up. He's going up towards the right-hand curve, up towards the chicane at turn 1. And it's obviously very busy on the first lap of any motor race. Coming up under the famous Dunlop Bridge, the cars will just drift to the left now, then to the right. We're coming through a right-hander and we're going down now towards Tête Rouge. Now, Tête Rouge is a very important corner. You want to get it right because following this corner, you're sitting for several miles flat out. Well, you used to. Now, Reiner's going to position himself on the left-hand side of this circuit. He's now absolutely flat in top gear, probably getting up to around 150 miles an hour, and going down towards a chicane that they've put in. They'll probably take it in third gear. They're quite fast chicanes. He's now going to start to brake and probably do this in, I did it in third gear. He turns to the right through an apex on the left, which he goes behind. He obviously got forced off the circuit by somebody, so he jumped the chicane. And now he's just going up through the gears back into top gear to sit flat out again. And in a moment, he'll have to position to the right-hand side of the circuit. There's quite a crown in the road. Because it is a public road, it's the main road down to Spain, past Le Mans. He'll go across to the right here, as he's done. And again, you probably go into this chicane in third gear and clipping the apex on the left, a very fast exit on the right through a left kink. And now you're coming down to the very famous Mulsanne kink, which we used to do absolutely flat out in top gear at 240 miles an hour. You climb and then drop down towards a very famous corner called Mulsanne, which is taken in second gear, where the old signalling pits used to be on the right-hand side. And I'd look over there to see my lap time, and in fact, those pit signalers used to do a sweepstake, because over the 8 miles of the circuit, it's amazing how many times you could do consecutive laps to the same tenth of a second, which is quite fun. So we're back up to full speed again, down through a right-hand kink, which is absolutely flat in top gear. And this is as fast as the Mulsanne straight. You do 240 miles an hour down here, onto the brakes, change down to fourth, through a kink at Indianapolis into Arnage, which is a second gear right-hander, and out of here you're accelerating up through the gears, back to top gear, flat out again. It's a very, very fast circuit, as you can see, which as a racing driver I love very fast circuits. We're now going towards the Porsche curves, and Reiner will go across to the left in a moment and change down to fourth gear into the right-hand entry to the Porsche curves. Quite technical, left up over the top in a moment, and still very, very fast here, and then dropping left-hand downhill into a very fast right-hand. I had my only major accident at that point in the dark in about 1986 or 7. And then through a series of left and right hand corners, very, very fast chicane type left and right, down towards a series of quite tight second gear chicanes. So you go in there in third, pop down to second gear, left and right again, which then takes you back onto the main straight. You've just passed the pit entry where you would go in for your pit stops to start the whole process again. But a fantastically fast, very impressive circuit, one of my all-time favorites.
We lived in this little village in Geneva. I had a neighbor who owned a dealership and asked me one day if I wanted to start doing some side work for him. I need you to wash them, take care of them, make sure everything is right. Just simple stuff, maintaining them. But there's one thing I hate. I don't like them sitting around. They need to be driven. I got comfortable around cars. And then I got the bug of liking cars. I would buy Porsches, 911s, and I would flip them. And just basically sell them at night, park them in front of the door of the restaurant. And that's how I actually started affording them, because I could actually flip them. How do you put under one roof everything what is related to car culture? People would say, it's impossible. And two friends of mine said, if you believe in it, just go do it.
Cyrus will go 10, 12, 15, 16, 18 hours and then come back and do it over and over again.
He's one of the most honest car dealers I've ever met.
We have recording studios up there, podcast studios up there. We can do the mechanical work down here. We can do the valet and preparation of the cars here. And all of that technique and knowledge that isn't in the building, we know where those guys are.
Oh, Jason, yeah, he was gracious enough to let us have the Batmobile as part of the display materials at the air show. The crowds around the Batmobile were larger than the crowds around the jet planes.
The most satisfying thing about working on cars is that you have the potential to turn something into something better.
I've always had a fascination with cars. Had a ton of Matchbox cars when I was little. Always loved them.
The cars bring people together and they're like family. So once they come to one event, they come to another event, they see each other, and they're like family.
So he shows me the typical recruiting video. I see guys jumping out of airplanes, I see tanks going over hills, a helicopter coming in. I'm like, man, that's cool. The signing bonus, he's like, yeah, we actually give you money to enlist. I'm like, you give me money? I'm like, how much money are we talking about? And it's, you know, here's 15, how's 15 grand sound? I'm like, $15,000 sounds awesome. That'll buy me a lot of car parts.
I really don't think you're gonna get it anywhere else. The fact that you can come here, watch the F1 races with everyone, come here, walk around, look at the vehicles. It's not only everyone that works here, but everyone else that actually comes here. It's just a totally different environment than anywhere else.
This building, when we first moved in, I remember there was construction dust everywhere, and we had 4 cars in this building. And now, I mean, as you can see, I mean, he's got more cars than, you know, he can probably keep track of, but that's Cyrus, and that's what he does.
You know, I've spent the last couple days here, and I just got to tell you, the cast of characters here, these are good folks. This is a place where people can come and be themselves, and it's a lot like Cheers. Everybody knows your name, and you can't put a price on that. Huge thank you to Euro Prestige and Unknown Charlotte for hosting this episode. If you'd like to host an Art on Wheels, send us an email. Our next episode will be from Pebble Beach, Monterey Car Week. It's my pleasure hosting this show. We'll see you next time.